Well, the best thing to do if you want to fuck a lot of other girls, and even Dan Bilzerian is monogamous now, and all he's done like a new podcast run, I think, to promote some new. What's he working on? He's working on something, but
Yeah, so
Sigma
we've got
Society.
it's called Sigma Society. So
yeah.
I'm his coach for that. And
Oh,
so yeah,
you
if
are.
anyone's interested, little plug, go check
Oh,
it
there
out.
we go. Yeah, I set you up for that, bro. I didn't even
Thank you. Yeah, I
unintentionally.
Oh,
appreciate
wait,
that.
wait, wait. So
That was perfect.
Yeah.
speaking
Uh
of setup, did the debate Marcus was on, the first debate I hosted, did that set up Marcus to be a coach in Sigma Society?
Um, Maybe, but essentially, we had a mutual friend in the marketing space that was helping Dan out with his marketing, and he was looking for.
Look at that. I'm just gonna count to 5 seconds, see if Ice is gonna respond.
A less
One, two.
connection
I'm
there.
kidding.
Can
Oh, there you
can
go.
you repeat that again? I literally lost connection there on my computer
He said it
completely.
was all due to you, bro.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you,
let me
Ice. It's
hear it
all you.
again. No, I fucking lost connection. Let me hear it the
His
first
connection's
time.
fine. The motherfucker just wants to hear it over and over again. All right, yeah, sorry, Casey, go on, man.
What we were talking about, cheating, infidelity. What was the thing?
Oh
Dambles.
yeah,
Oh,
Dan being
yeah. I
you
said
said
yeah.
he said
I
he's
said
monogamous, yeah.
yeah. Even Dan Bilzerian is monogamous now, and I don't know where I'm going to stand in the future, but at least where I stand now, which you guys, I have never out of four girls that I proposed this to, the classic Andrew Tate or red pill, the one-sided open relationship where it's open for me but closed for her. I've never had a problem convincing a girl to do that. Now, I don't say it on the first night. I'm like, hey, great first date. Just so you know, if this continues to go well, I'm gonna fuck other bitches and you're not gonna do shit. I don't tell them that. I wait, a good 2, 3 months around the time that they want to have like the talk is when I tell it to them. And I know I get there's a little bit of pushback, there's a little bit of feistiness, but I've had like a year and a half relationship where there's no fights over it, at least no fights that last longer than 5 minutes over it. And I would never want to lie to a girl ever again. There's just too much digital footprint now. Like, why did you get an Uber from this hotel at 12 a.m. and I accidentally saw on your phone like there's too much digital footprint. I always get caught. And I don't know what you guys are thoughts are on that, but I would condone that over lying because one is like you're telling her the truth, right? Like, hey, you knew what it was. I told you I was going to smash other bitches, and you chose to accept that, from me, and that's in the contract. Read the fine print. But once trust is broken, that's like a whole thing because now it's like, what else are you lying about? What else? Yeah, and does you lose trust on? So
I'm
anyway,
kind
I
of
would recommend that over
surprised.
just lying and cheating.
I'm kind of surprised that you said like 2 or 3 months. I call this the king and queen relationship. The idea, as you said, it's open on your side, closed on her side. As the king, you can do what you want. As the queen, she's loyal to you. So that's why I call it the king and queen relationship. I think my last girlfriend, for example, or actually two girlfriends ago. It was more like 2 weeks, and she told me within like 2 weeks, I know that you see other girls, but eventually I would want you all to myself. And she came to me with that. For me, I didn't really need to explain it in her case at first. I have needed to explain it to others, of course, but in her case, she was well aware of it because of how my social media was set up and the fact that I was posting stories, have things on my Facebook timeline and everything like that. It was always open to start with, to begin with. So there were no surprises in the first place. So that is how I observed my version of the king and queen relationship, the semi-open relationship to work for me without even necessarily needing to have that conversation in advance. It's the conversation would still happen. The setup was just more obvious.
Yeah, I think there's that yeah, I've got mixed views on this, okay? Um, One-sided open relationships, I'm not a big fan of. I think for most guys, you need a value gap there, okay? Or you just need a girl that doesn't give a fuck and is like bi or less jealous or something along those lines. But for most women, you're gonna have to have like a pretty big value gap. And even if you do have that, then this will be something the girls bring up whenever you have other areas that you're trying to compromise with. So for most guys, I think this is just like not going to work for them. For someone like Casey, of course, like if you got a bunch of pre-selection, you got a bunch of girls, you know, are a Western guy, or you have you know, success in your life, things like that, it's going to be a little bit easier for you. But yeah, I think for the advice for most guys out there, because I feel like you hear a lot of these tates like giving advice around, like this is for guys that are killing it. These like top 1% advice. For 99% of guys, like don't even think about it. Like if you want an open relationship, just have it open on both sides and don't get jealous about it. If you want an exclusive relationship or you don't want your girls sleeping around, then just have an exclusive relationship. And yeah, mixed views is in we can talk about like the benefits of exclusivity. We could talk about like the benefits, obviously, of like having something open and the difficulties of it and things like that. But yeah, I think to keep it simple for like most guys, it's probably not something I'm going to try to be setting up. I'd either just go for completely open or exclusive.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the majority of women are not open to it. I don't care how good a guy's game is, the majority of women are not open to this type of a relationship. And when the woman is open to this type of relationship, it is more to do with her will than the guy's skill. I'm not saying it's not an advanced thing to be, you know, most guys cannot set up these one-sided open relationships, right? So there's some skill involved. And as Marcus said, there's usually maybe some kind of value differential, but most women are not open to this. And it doesn't matter how high value the guy is too. If the woman is not open to this type of lifestyle, she's not going to leave. Like, for example, Andrew Tate is not stealing any of my girlfriends. Any of my long-term girlfriends, they're not leaving me to join Andrew Tate's harem. It's just not happening, right? So this is I'm not here to judge anyone's lifestyle. You know, if that's the way you want to live your life. I don't feel like getting into personal details of my experiences and my relationships. So but I'll say this, I don't judge that type of relationship. It's just the majority of women are not open to it. I don't care how good a guy's game is.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's not for the majority of women and it's not for the majority of men.
Go ahead.
They might tolerate it for a bit. Exactly. You know,
I mean, I had this for a year and a half, and of course the relationship ended, but it had nothing to do with that. I actually ended the relationship because she just, well, I don't want to say any personal details, but again, there was a huge, well, okay, put it this way, talking about the value differential that Marcus was saying just before he dropped off is I've seen this on podcasts before. They go around the panel like, would you do the one-sided open relationship? Hell no, fuck no, I wouldn't do that. Okay, so you wouldn't do it. All of you say no. Okay, cool. What if your boyfriend was Drake? Then would you do it? Well, okay, if it was Drake, yeah, then I would go for it. And again, it's that value differential. Now you might be saying, well, cool, so they'll do it for Drake, but you're not Drake. You're not an A-list celebrity. Fine. What can happen after 2 or 3 months because of the personal connection and chemistry you have with a girl? You could have the same value to her in her mind as Drake. Like a lot, like you said, Top G ain't stealing your fiance. Of course he's not, right? You know, Drake isn't stealing your fiance. On the night that you met, Drake could, well, let's remove your actual fiance from it, but like a previous girl that was choosing to leave the club with you absolutely would have ditched you for Chris Brown or Drake. But had she dated you for 6 months, absolutely she would not leave you. So what I'm saying is that all the girls are admitting is that if the guy has enough value, they would go for it. But I do agree. This is a very, very nuanced thing. I don't think anybody listening to the podcast should say, well, Casey Redbeard is right. I'm doing the one-sided red pill relationship.